But she's also like, oh, I don't want to take the kids today. I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, well...
Bert, hey, stranger, hey, chimney sweep, can you watch my kids while I leave? Because I can't find my nanny right now. I mean, that's child abuse. What was her transformation? An eccentric nanny floats down from the sky to heal the emotional wounds of a disconnected family in this Disney classic. I'm psychologist Dr. Bryan Violette, and today I'll be sitting down with Barbra Bottaro. We'll be discussing her choice for this week's Cinderella movie, Mary Poppins. This is the Catholic Center Show. Mary Poppins.
Let's do it. Poppins.
We're going to pop right in to Mary Poppins. You had almost had a panic attack when I asked you to choose a movie. And you said you don't like movies. Yeah, I heard. I met all your parts.
You heard that. That's what you heard.
I don't like movies. I don't have opinions on movies. I don't like to talk about movies. And then you're like, fine, Mary Poppins. Which I watched for the first time ever last night.
All right, let me put a quick disclaimer. I have trouble with my attention span watching an entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
I have watched some movies. I've watched many movies. Usually I fall asleep. I have a new rule.
New method?
New rule. I don't take the kids to the movies anymore because I fall asleep in the middle of the day and I get a headache and mom's not fun at the movies. Mom is fun building catapults. I take them fishing.
Yeah.
I play wiffle ball. Greg
Sure.
takes the kids to the movies. Okay. I do like movies. I like the sound of music. And I like Mary Poppins, both Julie Andrews. But the most exciting thing about this conversation is going to be the fact that you hadn't seen it.
Never saw it.
I am dying to know anything you want to talk about the movie, any of your opinions, any of your connections, and so specifically that I think the end of the movie, but I'm really interested to hear what you have to say.
As a child, let me start by saying this. I never saw this film because as a child, I liked Disney cartoons. And I was like, this is a serious grown-up movie.
It's like a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It's like
and there are cartoons in this, but it felt like it wasn't, you know, Robin Hood or Sword in the Stone or any of those Disney films I saw as a kid. So I never really got around to it. And then upon watching it, it's kind of an adult film.
Oh, definitely.
There's a lot of adult themes. There's a lot of adult language exchange that a kid wouldn't understand. It's talking about finance in England and So it's not a kid's movie, I don't think.
It can be whimsical. It's whimsical.
Yes.
But it's definitely it's really deep, I think.
Okay. All right. So what if I don't like this movie? Is that okay?
I mean,
I don't think it is.
Is it okay for Are you still lovable if you don't like it? No. Let's just
I did not like the movie, but I just want to know like how critical I can get when I talk about it.
You can get critical. I mean, it's going to be the same thing with the cats. Like, it's obviously that you're missing something.
It's my fault. It's going
to be your fault.
Deficiency. Yeah, it's my deficiency if I don't. Because this movie is perfect in almost every way, just like Mary Poppins.
Practically perfect.
Practically perfect in almost every way. Gosh, now you're interviewing me and putting me in the hot seat.
Oh, I can't wait.
My impressions.
I got to get comfortable for this.
I thought Dick Van Dyke was unbelievable.
Unbelievably good.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was, I don't think there's anyone out there today that has that range of skill. His body, his control over his body, his mastery over how he makes things that are incredibly difficult look so easy is a marvel to watch.
Super lovable character.
I think that there is a world in which this movie is not called Mary Poppins. I think it could be called Bert. He stole the film. I thought he had way more of an impact than her.
Oh, talk about that.
I think that he's more entertaining. I think he embodied the spirit of what Mary Poppins would not explain. I never explain anything. Remember she said that?
Oh yeah, what does she say? I have a
rule or something.
yeah, but she doesn't say rule. Anyway, yeah.
I think he embodies that. I think he lives it. And I think he's much more skilled interpersonally than her.
I'm interested in all of this.
I think his ability to connect with people and the warmth that he exudes when talking to the children or talking to Mr. Bank, like he makes explicit, what a clinician when he's like empathizing with Mr. Banks at the end, or Mr. Bank, is it
Mr.
an S?
Banks.
Mr. Banks with an S, which is funny because he works in the bank. So,
right. Whimsical.
Yeah, he empathizes with how the children like ruined his bank experience, and how he should, he's like basically making paradoxical clinical statements like, yeah, of course, you shouldn't have time to wipe your kid's nose when they want all your attention and love. Like, don't they understand how important you are?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a classic clinical move. But he does it in warmth, so he's like empathizing, but also inviting him to see a different perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, Mary Poppins is not explicit with what she's doing. In fact, what's the most influential about Mary Poppins is the magic that she offers. They go on journeys with her into these magical experiences. Uh-huh. But she doesn't provide explicit corrective emotional experiences. In fact, she denies that she even does magic. She said, "What are you talking about? I'm a proper lady."
It's so interesting what you're saying because of who you are. Because when I see it, Bert is parenting the child inside of
Mr. Banks.
Mr. Banks.
Yes.
Mary Poppins is parenting Mr. Banks in a different way.
Yes.
So she kind of like lets him have his little tantrum, but she's in some ways like almost dismissive of him, right? When she says like, "I'm sorry,
firm.
Are you ill?"
And it's what he needed. He said, "I want firmness and sternness in a nanny." And she is firm and stern with him.
When she says to him, "I'm sorry, sir, are you ill?" It's like so preposterous that he's doing what he's doing. It's like when you're looking at your kid and you're like,
yeah.
And he is so boastful and he's so puffed up, but not really, right? He's desiring like the people at the bank to recognize him, right? And instead he gets fired,
right?
But she makes him feel like he's so crazy that it like knocks him off of his game.
Yes, she disorients him.
She totally disorients him.
Yes,
and her deep desire, she knows what she's doing.
She definitely knows what she's doing.
She came in there to show him what he's missing out on and to reparent him and his wife, right?
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying she's not verbal about it. That's my whole thing. I think Bert is more verbal. Even when he relates to the kids, he like is very warm and he like explains things. He's more explicit. For her, it's take your children to work tomorrow. That's it.
Right, but she's challenging.
Yes, but she doesn't say what it is that she's doing. That's all I'm saying.
I know, but I feel like it's funny because with you were saying like your learned skill set is empathy. Your natural skill set is directiveness. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of like, I would never pick up in the movie on Bert's
interpersonal
empathy.
Skills?
Never.
Oh, he's so empathic.
Never.
He's so warm.
I think that she's such a beautiful example of, she has like a really good mothering energy. She's not smothering of the kids.
She's very structured.
She's very structured. But if you notice, the beginning of the movie, the kids have run away from all these nannies.
The kids needed structure.
They needed
structure. I think people need different things at different points in their life.
Sure.
And she provided something that he needed.
Right.
And then Mr. Bank and the kids. And
right.
Right. That one line was pretty crushing though, to the kids.
What one?
At the end.
Oh.
What would it be? Who would I be if I loved every child that I cared for?
Oh, but they know that that's not.
How do we know that they know? They're children.
I know, but can't you?
I would
it's like her MO.
I would like to believe that they know, but I don't know that they know. That was like, this is what I mean about her not having the same clinical skill as Bert. Bert would be like, "Of course I love you. Of course I love you, little one." You know, like it would be something like that. You know, it would be explicit.
But can you imagine, okay, the scene where she's putting the kids to bed? If Bert were doing it, he'd be like, "Oh, you don't want to? Okay, like, let's keep, okay, one more book, one more story." And instead she goes, "No, you don't have to go to sleep. Stay awake." It's the whole song. Stay awake, don't go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's like a security in the idea that like she's never going to give them like the answer. It's always going to be like the opposite of what she's saying. Like,
she creates context for people to discover their own answers.
Right, which is why like her parenting
Which is wonderful.
of Mr. Banks is beautiful, because what the kids need is not a nanny who loves them.
It's a parent who loves them.
It's their parents. And their mom is saying like women's rights, and then she comes home, in the song they're singing like we love men individually, but we agree as a group they're rather stupid.
Yes.
And then she comes in and her husband is singing, "When I come home, the children are like washed.
I pat them on the head and they go to bed.
They go to bed.
I'm not going to engage with them at all.
My wife brings me my drink and my slippers." And she's like, "Yes, dear, yes, dear, yes, dear," right? And meanwhile, all day long, the kids are with the nanny and she's fighting for women. Like, it's hysterical.
She's an absentee mother.
Totally.
She's not a great mom.
She's not a good mom at all. And
Yeah.
he's not a good dad. It's like they're reparented by Mary Poppins, showing them like what they need.
Yeah, but well, I wonder if there's something to be said that as the father goes, so does the rest of the household. Because the mom, there was no real transformative experience for the mother. It was like suddenly dad was different, and then she's like, "Okay, we'll engage with the kids." I mean, there was a little bit along the way with her saying like they're just children. Her trying to help him
like,
see.
Listen to their ad.
But she's also like, "Oh, I don't want to take the kids today. I'm out."
Yeah, I mean, well.
Bert, hey stranger, hey chimney sweep, can you watch my kids while I leave? Because I can't find my nanny right now. I mean, that's child abuse. What was her transformation?
Well, I don't know if she's
I don't know if she had the same Yeah, I don't think she had the same character development as the father.
No, and she's like a caricature.
Yeah.
Right, of like of a mom. No, I don't think so either. But like what you're saying, with the father, so goes like the rest of the family. It's almost like, okay, it gives her like the freedom to then do what sort of probably came a little bit naturally, and the time period and the fact that they're wealthy. Like, there's a lot of like social.
She didn't have to live in fear of the husband's mood and
or she's not like she's not like holding a baby and washing, they're wealthy. The kids, it's like a natural social thing. The kids are like with with the nanny, blah blah blah. But
I mean, more to my point about the closest Mary Poppins gets to making explicit what her actual philosophy is the song about the bird and feeding the birds. That was her treatise on parenting.
Yeah.
Which is like, take the time out to enter into their world and feed the birds, and the saints and apostles will be smiling down upon you if you do.
Yeah.
But that's it. But that I think encapsulates her whole perspective. But she doesn't like explain herself, as she said, elsewhere in any way. Bert embodies it because Bert, like, he's the talk about Catholic mindfulness. He's as mindful as you could possibly get. Yeah. He's the artist that's attached to nothing. He's a different thing every day. He's begging for coins, so that he can tuppences to live off of. One day he starts off with the instruments attached to his body. The next he's painting pictures on the sidewalk. The next he's a chimney sweep. Yeah. He's just the ultimate free spirit of living in the present moment. And he says, "I'm happier than anyone."
Yeah.
And you compare that to the dad and the spirit in the bank of don't you see how you will be happy if you conquer the world through money?
Yeah.
And none of them are happy.
No, yeah.
None of them are happy at all. It's like structure and frame and pursuing things of this life does not make you happy. And Bert, who's got nothing, is as mindful as it gets. I'm telling you, I'm going to convince you how awesome Bert is.
I've always loved him. I just hadn't thought about it. Hadn't thought about his character deeply. Mary Poppins to me is just, there's just something so like, it's like she's a mystery. It's like she's the mystery, and what she does is like so magical, and she doesn't have to say it. Like what she's doing,
sure,
She's just sort of like, she's moving things, right, as she sees that they need to be moved.
Without saying what she's doing.
Without saying
which
what
is a
she's
skill.
doing.
I'm not saying it's I'm
To
just,
the point where like she makes him think he's crazy.
yes.
Like, and she says it's like almost she's like, are you?
When he's looking in the chimney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like fumbling, and he's like, I know I put it here, and she knows.
Yes.
Are you ill? And she's like, she can be very dismissive, right? But it's like she's moving the chess pieces around
Yes.
where they need to go, where they don't even know that they're not in the right spot yet to even begin playing the game.
Yes. Can we talk for a moment about Bert and Mary's relationship?
Isn't that odd?
Well,
What is it?
seems like there's a little sexual tension.
He loves her so much.
But here, well, every time I go one direction with it, there's something that pulls me in the other direction.
Okay.
Because the first direction is like, wait a minute, are they into each other? They're dancing. He's like speaking to her as a lover would.
Right.
And then he says, we all love Mary Poppins. He doesn't say, I love Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
And then he's also going on about all the different women in that song.
Oh yeah.
And is he a womanizer? Like he just lists all these different women, and
How
then
they're
he's
not
like,
as great as Mary.
"We're great as Mary," and she's like a little jealous as he's doing it. Her
Oh,
facial
yeah.
reaction.
But I don't think, I could be wrong about this. It's something to look up. I don't believe that as a nanny, like you wouldn't be married.
I don't know.
It's like a single vocation.
I think I've unlocked it though. I think I've unlocked it,
Great.
and only because I Wikipedia'd things a little bit.
I was just going to say you already Googled it.
Yeah. I think this is illustrated in Mary Poppins Returns. I know. But
And I do love Emily Blunt.
and I love Emily Blunt, and there's like, okay, I'll give it a chance because it's Emily Blunt. But I haven't seen it. But what they point out is Michael and Jane, the kids,
Yeah.
are old and have kids. So Mary Poppins is like this
Right.
eternal figure.
Yes.
She's either a witch or a fairy or something beyond. She's not a human being.
Right.
And I think what they point out is that Mary Poppins was Bert's nanny.
Impossible. Well, actually, let me think about this.
This would even explain why he's not talking about other women that he was interested in. He was talking about other nannies that he had. And she was just jealous about. In the books, actually, she's pretty vain. You know, I learned this in the Wikipedia too.
That's another thing to, yeah.
She's the mirror and everything, and she's
Sure.
Yeah, that's her weakness, her shortcoming. But she was, it wasn't that she was jealous of other women that Bert had, but she was jealous of other nannies that he would even mention in the same breath as her. And his whole personality, the free spirit who's able to live in the moment, basically came from him being mothered by her once upon a time. So there is no sexual tension. It's just like a kid honoring his mom.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, maybe. I was going to push back on that and say that, well, one, this is embarrassing to admit. I haven't read the book, actually.
There's 5 books, I think. It's a whole series of books.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how many, but I know that it's more than just this and Mary Poppins Returns. What was I going to say? I would assume that she wasn't his nanny, just based on the fact that he's a chimney sweep, which would imply to me that it's like very much like a
social
yeah, like a social
a class thing,
a social class in London at that time, right? So
maybe.
I mean,
she's
wrong.
Mary Poppins. She obviously transcends
think she doesn't get paid?
socioeconomic status.
She
No,
says I take every Tuesday off.
Right.
This is, right. But something about it is like they're sort of like, they sort of stay true to like that, that structure of like a social class. The thing that's interesting about him naming names could be that maybe even if she wasn't his nanny, that he knows about other nannies. And that he's saying like, oh, she's not as like this. And so maybe he's still talking about nannies. I don't know. It seems sort of like he
He
just
was
loves
fathering.
her very much.
Yeah, and he was fathering everyone, and she was mothering everyone.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that's like, well, why don't they just hook up? Like, be the parents.
Yeah, but you can't because she's
Yeah.
a nanny. That's
Yeah.
her. It's a single vocation.
She's got to go hang out in the clouds for a couple days and wait for the next
mirror to pop up.
Emotional crisis or wind to change. There was an
Right.
interesting thing going on with the weather.
Yeah.
I mean, the admiral's talking about the weather. Look out, there's a big weather change coming. Mr. Banks, he's screaming after him as he's walking down the street.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly the one-to-one connection
cherry
between
blossom,
weather.
Petals are blowing. Yeah, and then she's up in the clouds,
Yes.
just kind of hanging out until. What I'm also wondering. Gosh, it left.
It'll come back. It'll come back. It'll come back.
Will it come back like Mary Poppins? No.
There's that point too, where she's having a conversation with her umbrella later,
Yeah.
and she's trying to have a stiff upper lip about not receiving thanks and gratitude for everything she did, and how she's detached. She
Yeah.
has to remain somewhat detached, even though she really does love every
does.
child, and she won't even let the duck umbrella say that she loves the kids.
Right.
What do you think a happy ending for Mary Poppins is? For her?
Yeah. I mean,
Marriage and family.
no, I think that it's such. I mean, if we believed like in a single vocation,
Sure.
it's tremendous. It reminds me of like one of the sisters, right? Where you're just like, she has made the ultimate sacrifice of her life for the good of other of children and families. Right?
Yeah.
That's really profound. So much so that it's hard for her to even look at her vocation beyond the structure of it, because it's like would be so painful to recognize her own feelings on things when she's trying to deliver what she is as a gift, as a sacrifice to herself for those people, and to say like she has to be detached because she does love them so deeply, right? And you can't not. What is the ultimate happiness for Mary Poppins? I think I would imagine that in many vocations, as painful as it will be, and I tell Elijah this, probably very unhealthy, I want him to stay with me forever and ever and ever, right? I want them to all just stay, don't leave, stay with mom. Would that be my ultimate happiness? No.
No.
My ultimate happiness is to go through what's painful for the good of my children and for my own self-sacrifice, right? Like, which I do on a daily basis. The ultimate is to let them go.
And let them suffer.
And let them suffer. And
It's very Marian, isn't it?
And right. And so Mary Poppins' ultimate, I think she is ultimately happy. She does what she sets out to do.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's painful. It doesn't mean that she's not happy. And it doesn't mean that she's not joy-filled, right? Because like you can have the joy of the Lord and be sad, experience pain. And what she's doing is hard. It's hard work.
Sure.
It takes I can't even imagine the emotional and mental toll that it takes to reparent a man like Mr. Banks. But it's almost like she has that detachment, so she can sort of see what he needs for who he is, and she doesn't take him personally, and she, in fact, is kind of dismissive of his parts, right, that are there. So that's my answer. I think that she is ultimately happy. I think that's her ultimate happiness is her vocation.
Is any part of this wish fulfillment for you?
Say it
differently. Do you wish that she was your nanny?
Oh gosh, do I wish that I had a nanny like Mary?
I mean, you've had various types of experiences with nannies.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say at least 9% of every conversation that you and I have ever had, it's been about your current nanny situation.
Situation.
Yes.
I don't.
So it's interesting that, like, I know that this is in your headspace,
Yeah.
nannies and babysitters.
Sure.
And, actually we can have some empathy for them, building off your last point of how hard it is to live in that,
Oh my
to
gosh.
work in that space, and
Yes.
to attach and then detach, and where do I end, and
Not even that.
I'm in the family, I'm not in the family, I love these kids like a mom, and then I got to leave.
To deal with the parents.
And the parents, yes. Right.
To deal with the parents.
Right.
That's no walk in the park.
Right.
I
So
mean, pun intended. Mary
so
Poppins.
would you love just to see the silhouette of the umbrella coming down to you?
I would love to be parented by Mary Poppins because she was a genius at, like I said, like in my mind, what she's doing is she sees like someone wants to play chess badly, but all they know how to do is like throw all the chess pieces on the table.
Yeah.
And she takes them and starts to show them like how to line them up properly so that you can play a game. And so that's what's really hard sometimes for me as a parent, to figure out where the chess pieces belong so that we can play the proper game. So I don't necessarily need my children to be nannied by a nanny
her.
like Mary Poppins.
You need to be nannied.
I would really love to be, like nannied by Mary Poppins so that
It's beautiful.
I'm able to then figure out where my chess pieces need to be, right? Because like, and this is how it's supposed to be. I should be the best person to parent my children.
Yeah. That's interesting, because there's a part of me that would love the detached fathering of Bert.
Yeah.
And
The warmth.
yeah, the warmth and the accessibility, and don't worry about it, everything's fine and you're safe, and
And it's goofy.
yeah, it's fun, it's light. I think it sounds like Mary Poppins has had an influence on you in your own development, because one of my premises of this show is that God parents us through many different means.
Oh, yeah.
One of which is fictional characters.
Definitely.
I've had a lot of fictional characters that have like influenced my own development, goals I've had for myself, like personality traits that I've worked towards.
Do you have a list? Do you ever like journal with a list of those people? I have a
don't-
list.
That's great. I don't like journaling. That's not my thing. But yeah, I mean, it's the same, at least mental exercise.
Yeah.
Is she on your list?
Oh, definitely.
Nice.
Mary Poppins is on. I mean, if you could take like the most perfect examples, right, and combine them. So she's on my list. I mean, there is a firmness, a detached, like there is a self-preservation that's like a healthy self-preservation that she has that's very desirable, right? Like she's not really moved emotionally. And like there's the I love to laugh scene where she's just like, kind of like she's had it. But truly,
That's a great scene.
it is a good scene. Truly, and she is not moved, right? In like the big picture. What about it is so funny? The whole thing.
Think of the meta right
Yeah.
now. Think of the whole meta.
Yeah.
I'm on the ceiling right
Yeah.
now. And you're like trying to explain something serious to me.
Yeah.
And like the contagiousness of the laughter. I'm just thinking about that scene. I like almost lost your train of thought because
It's so ridiculous.
it's so ridiculous. No, but I actually think the guy who obviously did the voice for the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, Uncle Albert.
Yeah.
Uncle Albert. I mean, his laugh is so contagious. I thought the funniest line is when Bert goes up there and he's like, "Oh, I was hoping you'd turn up. We always have such a great time." Like the real him, like
Yeah.
he was talking to a part of Bert, because
Right.
in the beginning Bert's just like trying not to
Yeah.
like laugh, whatever. And when he said, "I'm hoping you would turn up," he saw Bert was in the room.
Yeah.
He was hoping the part of Bert that would have fun and laugh would turn up.
Just like let him out.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to throw you off, but
No, yeah.
the laughter is contagious.